independence and close to medical care. Learn more at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Brenda Elder here, the Executive Director of the Shelby County Economic Development Corporation. From growing your business to attracting new investment, we're here to help. Find out more by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Good morning, WTIM, your information station. Our morning show here this morning as we get things kicked off today. Our show brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville and People's Bank and Trust. There we go. And joining me this morning on the phone is our special guest for today, Jack Myers. Jack, glad to have you on the show, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, Leroy. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Glad to have you here this morning. I always look forward to. I saw your name on the schedule this morning. I was like, yes, because I enjoy talking to you. But we've got plenty of great things to talk about today. Obviously, Monday was Memorial Day, and while we remember our heroes and the men and women who didn't make it home, there's plenty of stuff as far as Social Security is doing to honor our military heroes.
Yeah, that's right, Leroy. I think it's important all year long, but especially as we, celebrate these holidays that are, specific kind of to men and women of the armed forces. We have Memorial Day, obviously, which we're just coming off of. And then Veterans Day later in the year. But, it's important just to take a moment, especially around these holidays, and talk a little bit about what we can do at Social Security to try and honor the sacrifices that these men and women make. One of the things, as you mentioned, we're focusing at Memorial Day on, those who didn't make it back. And so obviously one of the things that we want to talk about around that theme is that, Social Security has survivor benefits. When you are in the military, your pay is taxed by Social Security. So you are building eligibility for not only your future retirement benefits or disability benefits should you need them, but if something happens to you, you're building eligibility for survivor benefits for your family members. So, just want to take a moment here and remind people that Social Security benefits may be payable to surviving family members, including spouses and children. Of course, that's not limited to military, but just want to place some special emphasis on that for military as we're coming off the heels of celebrating Memorial Day this year.
Yeah, and I see that for more information, they can go visit ssa.gov/survivors for all the information on whether or not they can get those benefits or not.
Absolutely. That's going to be our part of the website. So again, ssa.gov/survivors, where you can learn about survivor benefits. You can see who would qualify. Basically it's going to be minor children or children who are up to age 19 if they're still full-time high school students, as long as they're unmarried. But that would also extend to disabled children. So if you have a disabled child who became disabled prior to the age of 22 but is now an adult, if they've never married and they haven't been able to work on their own, then they could qualify for disability benefits on the earnings record of a deceased parent or even a retired or disabled parent. But then, of course, there's also survivors benefits for spouses. So if you have a young spouse who's caring for a young child under the age of 16 or a disabled child, they could potentially qualify. And then also widows and widowers who are 60 or older, or even 50 or older if they're disabled, could qualify. So there are several different circumstances where survivors can qualify. And I like to kind of remind people about that and help people understand that benefit's available. One of these things for parents, if you become a new parent, one of the things that you start thinking about is, what would be there for your family if something happened to you. And not everybody is aware of the survivor benefit. So take a look, go into My SSA at socialsecurity.gov, ssa.gov. You can create a My Social Security account, and you can look at that My Social Security account and see what your survivors would qualify for. Because as you're planning for life insurance needs and stuff like that, I think it's a pretty important piece of the puzzle to know what type of benefit would be available to your family members through the Social Security payroll taxes that you're already paying.
We talk a little bit about surviving members and of families of military heroes and things like that. But what about wounded warriors? We talk. I know as a veteran myself, I look at what the VA can provide for me, but Social Security can also help those who may need it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good point. A lot of times I think veterans do think first about the VA because it's a veteran specific benefit. But I would like to point out that VA disability benefits and Social Security disability benefits are different. Eligibility for one does not guarantee eligibility for the other. But if you're unable to work, even if you're getting VA disability benefits, you should consider applying for Social Security disability benefits as well. Now, kind of in tune with our talk about Memorial Day, if we look at this from a little different angle, obviously with Memorial Day, we honor those who didn't make it back. But sometimes people make it back, but they do so injured. And so that's where our Wounded Warrior Initiative come into play. We've got a couple different ways that we can help veterans in if you need to apply for disability benefits. We've got, as I said, the Wounded Warrior Initiative, and that basically is, if you are disabled and became disabled while on active military service on or after October 1st of 2001, I should say, we can expedite your disability application. So it doesn't mean you're automatically going to get approved, but basically we can kind of move your claim to the front of the line and do everything possible to make as quick of a medical determination as we can for you. Similarly, we've got something else where if you've got a VA compensation rating of 100% permanent and total, we can do the same thing for you there. So we can expedite your disability application. Again, that doesn't guarantee you're going to get approved for Social Security disability, but if you have that 100% permanent and total rating through the VA, what we can do is expedite your Social Security disability application so we can get you the quickest possible decision. And both of these are, really just a thank you for your service, for the sacrifices that you've made. And it's a way that we can, again, try to get a faster decision for you and get you that resolution of whether or not you're going to qualify for Social Security disability benefit.
All right. Sounds good. With Memorial Day happening, a lot of people obviously traveling and, moving and doing things like that. But the good news is that Social Security is still available as far as finding out information and getting what you need on the go. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So as you pointed out, Memorial Day has come and gone. So now we're kind of we've kind of passed the unofficial kickoff of summer, if you will, right? So if you're fortunate enough to be able to travel in the summer, I know many families try to get away for some family vacation time or maybe even staycation time in the summer. And if you are fortunate to have that opportunity or fortunate enough to have that opportunity, it's a good time to remind you that, hey, when you're off work, you've got a few hours maybe that you don't have spare, during your normal day-to-day hustle and bustle. Maybe take some time to go to SSA.gov, create a My Social Security account for yourself. Take a look at those things that you've been meaning to look at, estimates of your future benefits from Social Security, estimates of what your family could qualify for if something happened to you or what you could get if you were to become disabled. A lot of good things you can find through the SSA.gov website, and especially if you create that My Social Security account. So this summer, while you're on vacation, take some time to do that. Now, one of the things that I'll point out is if you're out traveling and you've got Wi-Fi access, you've got the ability to do that. However, I'm always a little cautious and skeptical, easy for me to say, if of free Wi-Fi if it is not locked down. So, make sure you're on a secure Wi-Fi before you start doing things like social security business. But if you have that secure Wi-Fi connection, or if maybe you're just on data through your provider and it is a secure connection, then take that time to go to SSA.gov, create the My Social Security account, and like I said, get it done while you've got a little extra time. I don't know about you, but when I tend to get away, I still wake up at the normal work time. My body kind of gets programmed like that. So
Yep.
while I'm waiting for others to wake up in the house, that's a great time for me to take care of some business like this.
All right, sounds good. We're being joined by Jack Myers this morning from Social Security Office, talking to us a little bit about some of the benefits and great things that his office provides. You're listening to the WTIM Morning Show, brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where we put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. You always do better at Landmark. More coming up right after these messages.
Let's check markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn and beans trading lower. Wheat slightly higher. July corn down 3.5, 456. September corn 433 down 3/4. And December new crop 445 3/4 down 3/4. July beans down 6 1/4, 1056 1/4. August beans down 5.5, 1052 1/2. November new crop 1044 3/4 down 6. July wheat up 2, 530 1/2. September wheat up 2, 546 1/4. July bean meal 294.60. That's down to $1.70. July bean oil 49.41, down 16 cents. Livestock trade August feeders 298.10, down a nickel. June live cattle down 32 cents, 214.80. June lean hogs up 62 cents, 99.72. Energy market July crude oil 61.83, up 93 cents. I'm Jim Taylor.
The big Sandy's rising, sound the alarm.
On the heels of deadly floods, eastern Kentucky and West Virginia are left devastated. Lives have been lost, homes and businesses swept away, and families are struggling to survive. But in the face of unimaginable loss, there's a way to help. Pike County Flood Relief is there, providing hope where it's needed most. Your tax-deductible donation can help deliver food, shelter, and the support needed to rebuild lives. These families have lost everything, but with your help, they can heal. Go to PikeCountyFloodRelief.org right now to make your donation. Every dollar helps. Every act of kindness counts. Together, we can heal the heart of these communities. Pike County Flood Relief. In their darkest hour, your light can make all the difference.
God deliver us.
For each of us, there are milestones that mark the end and the beginning of a way of life. One of those milestones is graduation. For the graduating class of 2025, school days may be ending, but just around the corner lie new and exciting challenges. As they move into their future, our best wishes go with them. We salute the class of 2025.
Congratulations, Nokomis class of 2025, and to all area graduates from Tom and Lola Spears at Nokomis Gift and Garden.
Central Illinois Truck Service is growing thanks to you. Owner Perry Stanfa here. Our new service manager, Jeremy Peters, and our certified technicians will keep your semi-truck engine rolling. Click my icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
SIU Family Medicine wants the best health for you and your family. Be a champion. Protect your loved ones. The SIU Center for Family Medicine of Taylorville is accepting new patients. Click their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com to schedule your appointment.
Your information station, WTIM.
And welcome back to WTIM, your information station, our morning show brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where we put people first. And Landmark of Taylorville, you always do better at Landmark. Joining us this morning, Jack Myers with Social Security Administration. And Jack, glad to have you on the show this morning. We were talking about Memorial Day and some of the benefits that veterans receive, but you were also talking a little bit about things that you can do while you travel, but making sure that you're able to be secure. If you're not secure, something can happen called identity theft, and that's a big thing that is a big hot button topic that everyone's been talking about. Talk a little bit about identity theft and ways that you can protect yourself, especially when it comes to Social Security, because that's such a big deal as far as money that is yours. You definitely don't want to lose that.
Yeah, very true. We talk a lot about scams and safeguarding yourself from scams. And, I think maybe it's time to just, like we do every once in a while, take a step back and maybe do a little bit higher level overview of just the basics of identity theft, right? So a lot of us have heard of that term, but do you ever wonder what it means exactly and how you can guard against it? So, basically, ID theft is when someone uses your personal information to impersonate you or steal from you. And it's important for you to learn more about it because that's how you can kind of learn how to keep your personal information safe. So, if you kind of break it down, there are two basic types of identity theft. The first would be thieves stealing your data physically or digitally without contacting you directly. And then the second would be if they contact you directly and convince you to provide sensitive information or money. So that's more like the scams that we talk about often. If you're a victim of identity theft, you may never know how it happened if they didn't contact you directly. And if they did contact you directly and steal your money, the impact is immediately clear. But what about your information? So you feel the impact of that money or that financial loss, but what if they got your information too? So what can they do with that information and what's at risk? They can do things like buy items with credit cards or bank accounts, obtain new credit in your name, use your social security number to get a job, open phone or utility accounts, steal a tax refund. That's a big one we hear about, in the tax season. They could use in your health insurance for medical care, pretend to be you if they get arrested. That's a big one that I've heard about before. So there are a lot of different things people can do with your information. So while we all understand the importance of safeguarding our money, it's very important to safeguard that information as well.
Yeah, and so what are some ways that we can maybe spot identity theft as far as what we're looking for?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and there are a few things you can do. Number one, keep track of your mail for missing bills or other documents. The United States Postal Service has something called informed delivery. So if you sign up for that through their website, you will get an email each day of what's supposed to be coming in your mail. So that's a good way to kind of keep track of what is supposed to be in the mailbox and, kind of reconcile that with what's actually there to know if anything's missing. You also want to review credit card and bank statements for unauthorized transactions. But there's another thing you can do, and that's basically getting a credit report. So you can obtain and review your credit report regularly to make sure that they don't include accounts that you didn't open yourself. And there's a website you can do that at for free. It's www.annualcreditreport.com. Now, the last time I took a look at this, you could request one free credit report from each of the three main credit reporting agencies. So there's Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. You could get one credit report free each year. So what you might want to do is every few months, get one of the three. So then you're basically getting credit reports throughout the calendar year without having to pay for them. So that's a pretty good way to just kind of keep an eye on things.
All right, we've got a few moments left. What should you do if you are a victim of identity theft?
Well, what you can do if you are a victim is, the Federal Trade Commission is the federal government agency that kind of is in charge of helping you recover from that. So a portion of their website is dedicated to it. If you go to identitytheft.gov or just go to ftc.gov, you can find information about how to recover. If you know of a specific company where fraud occurred, you certainly want to report that to them and let them know that you didn't initiate that transaction. Always be wary of contact that is initiated by third parties. So if you're dealing with something, the scammer might know that you're expecting a call from them. So try to initiate that contact yourself. Verify the phone numbers or email addresses yourself before accepting a call from them. And then again, identitytheft.gov is the FTC, Federal Trade Commission website, where you can go for an action plan on how to combat the identity theft.
All right, sounds good. Jack, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it, sir.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, you are listening to WTIM, your information station.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville. 96.1 FM Taylorville. 107.5 FM Shelbyville. 107.9 FM Pena Nokomis.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says it appears that Israel has killed senior Hamas leader Mohammed Sinwar in a recent Gaza airstrike. He's the brother of Yahya Sinwar, one of the masterminds of the October 2023 attack on Israel. He was killed by Israeli forces last year. The Trump administration's taking